So a lot of people are probably gonna hate this video. Seems like my videos like this are the most hated ones. But yeah, I don't know, there's some study that says a lot of guys have just like completely quit dating. Like they're not, it makes it sound like they're not trying to get laid at all. It's like guys between the age of 18 and 30 or something like that. And I think that if you're one of those guys that is choosing to do this, I think that you shouldn't, to be honest. I think you need to consider that this might have like really, really bad consequences later on in your life. Because the thing is sure, you can quit dating for a short period of time, but like, are you willing to just be alone for your entire life? The thing is like dating is a skill, having relationships is a skill as well. And if you never do that at all, like if you never practice the skill, you are going to suck at it. And I think eventually, like, you're going to want to date. You're going to want like at least want a partner in your life, like a wife or something, most likely, because most people do not like to be alone. Like the biological urge to procreate is like one of the strongest urges that men have, and especially guys in their 20s. Like guys in their 20s should be horny as hell. Like you guys should be talking to women. And I get it, like dating sucks, especially using dating apps sucks. If you are a 20-year-old guy, especially if you're a 20-year-old guy too that is like introverted, that maybe doesn't go out a lot, that's shy, I know how you feel. That's how I was. I had a lot of social anxiety and stuff like that. And for you, it's going to be super hard, like especially if maybe you're 18 or in your young 20s. Girls that are younger than you aren't that much easier. That kind of thing can make it easier. Plus, once you're older, like you're in your 30s, it can be easier to get girls in their 20s, younger girls, because you're just older. You've had more dating experience, more life experience. Your personality is just a lot more solid. You can be a lot more attractive, especially if you've done things to sort of work on yourself. And I get that how like if you've used dating apps at all, like pretty much any guy who's tried out dating apps, you know they are really, really, really frustrating. Like I've used them before. I've definitely complained about them a lot. One of the reasons I traveled, to be honest, was because dating apps will work for me in Latin America, because like I look exotic as hell in Latin America. In the United States, they are horrible. Like they do not work for me. You know, another thing is the social media and all that stuff. But you got to realize, like, I don't think that all of the blame is on girls. Like, there's a lot of talk about how girls are, like, totally different and their standards are high and blah, blah. I think a lot of the problem is that when I hear this stuff, I think that people are just getting this from using dating apps. And the thing is like, you know, I've used them and complained about them as well. I know how it is, but you got to realize you don't have to use dating apps. Like you can still meet women in real life. There are tons of ways to meet women. You know, you can meet them in school, on the street, like in bars. You know, women are people. They're all over the place. They're not just on dating apps. Another thing I think is probably a big problem is the number one thing that is going to get you like laid as a young guy, or even, and you know, you have to be able to get laid to get a girlfriend. That's sort of how it is just your social skills. That's like the number one thing. And I think that probably social skills have been declining with men, especially if you're if you're in your 20s, you probably grew up with smartphones. And people who grew up like they had smartphones as little kids, like, sorry, but your brain is probably fucked. Like, your social skills are probably a lot worse because of that, especially if you started watching like online porn at a young age and you continue to watch it. Like, that shit is gonna fuck with your social skills. It is going to it's gonna mess up your expectations in dating. It's going to just mess up your interactions with women in general. It's gonna mess up all that stuff. And yeah, as much as dealing with girls can kind of suck and they can be very entitled and blah, 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 the thing is as a guy, like if you're sitting at home and watching porn, or like even if you're using social media at all, basically, that stuff is going to make your social skills way, way worse. It's going to make you just less unattractive. And the longer you do that and the longer you avoid dating, or if you're avoiding socializing in general, that is just, it's going to make you less and less attractive, basically. Like, you're not going to be able to just wait until, I mean, it's possible you could, but I'm saying if you just decide to not date at all, focus on your career, this is what I think would have happened to me if I did this, is like when I was younger, I had a lot of issues around dating. It took me going on a ton of dates just to get over the fear of like making a move on a girl. Like I've had so many dates with girls who are very into me, who wanted me to like, you know, at least kiss them or make out with them, and I was too scared to do it. And at least in my experience, when a girl gave me the opportunity, gave me that window, and she wanted me to like kiss her, and I didn't take that opportunity, like almost none of those girls would ever go on a second date with me. And this is something that took me like a lot of sort of practice to get over. And I think if you think that you can just kind of not date at all and focus on your career, maybe make more money, and then when you're older, maybe like you're in your 30s or you're 40, and then you're just gonna be able to get like a wife, it's probably not gonna work that way. I found too that just dealing with women in a relationship is a skill as well. Like, you have to date, you have to learn how to interact with women, how to socialize with them, and how to sort of understand them a bit and deal with their, you know, their bratty behavior, the annoying crap that they do. Because the truth is like women are just different from us. Like, they act differently, and it's gonna drive you fucking nuts sometimes. And at least for me, this was a skill that I had to work on, I had to learn. I'm reading this book called The Way of the Superior Man. I think I'm reading it for like the third time now again. Like, I was telling my brother about it because he was having an issue, kind of a bad relationship issue with a girl he was dating, and he's told me he's read the book a lot. It's helped him out a lot. Definitely a book I'd recommend. It's called The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. There's another one that I would like to recommend too, if you're the type of guy that's like me. It might be called, I think it's called No More Mr. Nice Guy, but I'll have to look it up again in like my audiobook library because I don't remember the exact name, but those are a couple books I'd recommend. Well, like, I just think you need to think about your future. Like, if you're in your 20s and you're just gonna give up on dating and blame it all on girls, like, I just don't think it's true that it's all girls' fault. Like, sure, the girls have kind of like gotten a bit messed up by social media, but I think overall people are the same. We're just evolutionary, exactly the same. Our brains are pretty much the same. And yeah, social media sucks. It kind of messes up a lot of people, but a lot of people are not like that. Like, if you go out in the world and talk to people, you'll realize that not literally everyone is like that. And yeah, it does suck that girls, you know, they'll kind of get attracted by superficial things like social status, or just status with guys looking like they have money. But the thing is us guys are just as worse. Like, we kind of just care about looks a lot of the time, which is probably even more superficial, to be honest. But I just really think about your future. Like, if you're choosing not to date at all, or not, like, you might be choosing not to really interact with women at all, I would at least encourage you to at least try to socialize with a lot of girls, even if you're not dating, because like I'm saying, it is a skill that you should be learning. And, you know, I'm just worried too. I don't want your guys' balls to explode or anything either. I know with myself, like, going for long periods of time without talking to girls or getting laid, I feel like it kind of messes with my head. It can make me depressed, and I just don't want to see guys like get older and older and then like not be able to date at all. Because if you choose to just avoid this now, you could be just really messing up your future, and I really don't want to see that. You know, another little thing I just wanted to throw at the end here: if you're a young guy and like in your 20s and you're not dating, maybe you're not being super social, another thing I would worried about is if you're not dating, you might not be really getting like any physical contact at all, or barely any. And I'm a firm believer that having like physical contact with other people is very, very important for your mental health. And I think it's a very natural thing. I think that naturally as human beings, we would probably be in a lot more physical contact with men, with other men, if we didn't have these like societal taboos around that. And I also think that naturally people, like we're supposed to live in like a sort of hunter-gatherer tribe or bigger families, and we would be in contact with like more women in our family, you know, our grandmothers, sisters, and babies, which we'd probably be, you know, touching babies and handling them a lot and just physically interacting with our family members or people close to us a lot more of all different age groups. But if you're not dating at all and you're in your 20s, if you're like I was when I was younger, you might not be getting any physical touch, barely at all, which just, you got to realize that could really mess with your mental state. So it's another thing to consider.